Welcome to this week's edition of Coach Prep. Coach Don and I are here getting ready to record episode number 84. We've got a really good show lined up for you today. We're going to talk about time limits and some things we want coaches to be thinking about, because I think sometimes we don't think about it in quite as clear-cut a manner. So before we do that, let's talk about our sponsors. First, we're going to talk about Anderson Bat Company. Everything Fastpitch is very proud to have Anderson Bat Company as our presenting sponsor. Anderson Bat Company is using the latest and greatest bat technology to corner the market in the fast pitch world. They have the -9 Rocket Tech, the -10 Carbon, and the -11 Carbon Light. Anderson Bat Company is using this technology to put a high-performing bat in the hands of hitters that really know the difference between a good bat and a great bat. We're also working with Anderson to provide a discount for all of our listeners. Go to the Anderson Bat Company website and order your bats. Use the EFP20 discount, which is for everything fast pitch, and you'll get a 20% discount. It's a great way for you to save a little bit of money on a great bat and also help support everything fast pitch at the same time. And just as we mentioned in the promo, if you go to andersonbat.com, you can order there directly. Use the EFP20 discount code. That's EFP20. Get you 20% discount on an already very affordable, really high-performing bat. You know, the Anderson bat, I'm going to tell you 100%, Don and I stand behind it. I think it's the best stick on the market. I think it's the best bat, period. I'll stand in front of anybody and give you the reasons why. But if you go and order from them directly and use the EFP20, you're going to get that discount, which is tremendous. And it also helps support us with everything fast pitch and coach prep.
Tori, they've got baseball and slow pitch products that are great too.
Yep. And if you order a baseball bat and use that same code, we still get credit and you still get the discount. Go to andersonbat.com. We also want you to go to patreon.com/everythingfastpitch. Become a patron if you can. Coach Don and I have been doing this for a long time. We've got a group of hardcore patrons that support us, that are really helping us tremendously. There's tons of expenses that go into keeping this thing moving. Those of you that have been listening for a while can attest to the fact that the quality keeps improving, that the sound quality and everything about the show is 1,000,000% better than it was once upon a time. Part of that is, we've gotten a little bit more knowledgeable. We've got good help, but a big part of it is better microphones, better software, better computer, better services to deliver the podcast to the different services. All those things cost us a little bit every month. And so if you can help support us, there's 3 different levels, and there's things that you get in return from us for becoming a patron. So if you really enjoy Coach Prep and everything fast pitch, please try to support us if you can. So Don, time limits, they're everywhere.
Time limits I'm not a fan of those at all. I don't like that whole scenario.
Especially here in the discussions about Major League Baseball, about how the game has gotten so slow and how there's no action, and how they're losing the millennial crowd because they don't have the patience for the timelessness of baseball and softball. Well, the timelessness of it is something that I wish we were in a position where we could always just go to the park and know we're going to play 7 innings. But the world of tournaments, field scheduling, and trying to squeeze as many games into a weekend as we possibly can has led us to the world of time limits. And time limits are something that are just part of the game.
Inevitable.
And now, We've talked in the past about stalling when you're ahead and all these different things that go on, are a topic for something else. But what I wanted us to really talk about today is our attitude as coaches and what we're instilling in our players. So we're just going to make this easy for those of us that are math challenged. We're going to say we're playing in a game that's got a 100-minute time limit.
Sure.
Okay, because that's a nice, easy number, so 100. Typically, most tournaments, when the umpire starts the meeting at home plate, typically that's when the clock starts. If it doesn't start at the start of the meeting, it definitely starts at the end of the meeting. So we'll say at the end of the meeting, the 100-minute clock starts. How many times have we been in that situation? The umpire says, play ball. The coach who was up at the meeting turns around and says to the dugout, hey, we're the home team. And now we have to figure out who's playing what position. The catcher's got to go find her bag. She's got to dig into the deepest resources of that big giant catching bag and find all her equipment.
Get her gear.
Get her card and wristband that's got the catching numbers and the pitch selection numbers on it. Realizes that she hit at the end of the last game and now needs to switch her card and put in the defensive card because the offensive card won't do her much good when she's catching. And before you know it, 7 minutes are gone in our 100-minute game. So we haven't thrown pitch 1 yet, and we've already wasted 7% of the game.
Sure.
That's just to start off with.
And how many times at the end of the game are we wanting some of this
wishing,
time back,
right?
So that's
so
where
then
we're headed.
right. So then at the end of the first at bat, let's say we get a strikeout. In some situations, we throw the ball around the infield, we snap it around, and we waste 15 seconds. In some cases, we have a little cheers session where we all slap hands and shake hands and do our little, each player's got their own special handshake thing where we waste 30 seconds. Well, if we do that 3 times in an inning, or twice or 3 or 4 times in an inning, now we've wasted another minute or 2 or 3. So another 1 or 2 or 3% of the game is wasted.
So we're at 10% now.
Right. So now one team has hit, one team has played defense one time, and chances are we've already wasted 10% of the game.
Right.
So now the other team switches over. Well, it's the first half inning, so their pitcher needs her 5 or 7 warm-up pitches. We've got to have the same situation where the catcher probably was just on third base. So now she's got to run in. She's got to find all her gear. She's got to get everything organized. She's got to find her wristband and change the card. And so we've got a coach out there catching, to try to get a few of the warm-up pitches in.
Settled.
Yeah, and then the catcher runs out there, and of course she wants to at least throw down to second. She throws down to second. Now we have our powwow on the mound where everybody goes through their super secret handshake routine where we all get excited, and then the catcher runs back behind the plate. So we'll say just in that transition for the first half inning, we'll be generous. We've wasted 3 minutes. Chances are it's more, but we'll say 3 minutes.
We're at 13.
So now we're at 13% of the game has been wasted already, and the second team, the home team, has not had an at-bat yet.
Bottom half of the inning.
Right. And on and on and on it goes. So by the time we get done, we've wasted a percentage of that 100 minutes. And my guess is if we really paid attention, for most teams, out of a 100-minute time limit, we've wasted at least 25% of the game.
Well, and that's not usually even that 100, right?
Right.
It's usually hour, hour 20.
When it gets worse when it's a 90-minute game or an 80-minute game or a 70-minute game, because when it's a 70-minute game, that 7 minutes that we wasted at the start is now 10% of the game.
That's huge.
And the moral to the story is what I want us to talk about is making sure that our coaches are thinking about it in that way. We spend all this time to get ready to play. We spend all this money to get into these tournaments. We think, wow, this is great. We got a 5-game guarantee. But if we add it all up at the end of the games and we finish up the weekend, let's say we've played our 5 games in a showcase, I'd be willing to bet we really played about 3.5 games.
I was going to say one of them for sure gets...
Because at least 1 game worth of potential softball was wasted in changing cards and cheering and handshaking and catchers getting dressed and all that kind of stuff. And I got spoiled being a college coach for so long because in the college game, now when I first started in the college game, we played some time limit tournaments too. It was really the early days of my career back in the 1990s. We would go to Florida when they were trying to squeeze a lot of games and we would play some time limits. But for the most part, you knew you were going to play 7 innings.
Right.
You're going to have a half hour off, and then we're going to play game 2 of the doubleheader.
After the field got cleaned up, away we go. Yeah.
And that meant you'd be at the ballpark for 5.5, 6 hours to play that doubleheader, but you knew you were going to play 7 innings, and it didn't have that feeling of wasted time because everybody got their opportunities. Well, now in the world of travel ball, I'm seeing this more and more often. I've coached games that have been 2 innings, 3 innings is not uncommon. 2 innings is kind of exceptional. Usually that's one team hits a ton, and then they use up a lot of time on offense because the other team can't get them out. But 3 innings is not uncommon. 4 innings seems like a bonus. And if you play more than 4 innings, the kids start talking about how tired they are because they're playing so much.
No, I know, right? And if you've got rule discrepancies and things like that.
Right, arguing about calls and all that kind of stuff. And now again, pot calling the kettle black. I'm not going to say that a coach shouldn't fight for their team or shouldn't argue for a call if they think that they got wrong.
Different setting there.
But again, so if we argue for 5 minutes, whether the first baseman pulled her foot or not in the 3rd inning of a game that's 7-0, that's 5 minutes we don't get to spend trying to get more runners on base to maybe have a chance to get back in the game.
In particular, if you're on the right.
Yeah, if you're down 7-1 in the 3rd inning and you spend 5 minutes arguing about the runner that might have been safe at first or might have been out at first,
not a good call.
Right. The risk versus the reward
that one didn't really matter.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, what I want us to start is really just plant the seed. If you're playing time limit games, and I know you are, the only people that probably aren't are college coaches and varsity high school coaches. And even
Right.
there, I think sometimes you still have the rec league or the adult slow pitch league is going to come in and throw you off the field at 6:30. So you still got to be done by 6:30.
So you better get it going.
Right. But, for the most part, everybody else who coaches with the time limit hanging over their heads.
Sure.
And if we want to start to think about how much we're really getting to play and who's responsible for us not playing, we've got to take responsibility. We've got to take charge of that and start to change some things. I want the kids to be enthusiastic. I want them to have fun. But do we really need to have a 1-minute handshake after every strikeout?
I don't think so. Let's do our celebrating after.
Right. Let's celebrate in the dugout after she's got 3 strikeouts in the inning, or after we've had a really good inning, we've got 3 quick outs.
Or make it some kind of a visual attababy.
Right. Maybe something we can do on the tournament level is maybe the very first thing that the umpire does is flip the coin so the home team can tell his catcher or her catcher, hey, we're on defense, get ready. We're going to, the clock's going to start here in a minute. So your catcher runs out of the dugout, passing you on your way back from the home plate meeting.
Have both ready.
Yeah. So that can happen. And just little things that we can do to start changing the perspective. Getting kids to understand that, the time that they're spending doing these other things is really taking time away from them. And, how many times you'll hear a player or parent be upset because their kid only got 1 at bat in this game.
Sure.
Well, part of the reason your kid only got 1 at bat in this game is because our team wasted 13% of the game or 15% of the game or 40% of the game handshaking and changing cards and arguing balls and strikes and arguing safe calls and all that kind of stuff. And before you know it, your 70-minute game is 3 innings maybe. Unless your team's really good offensively, if you play a 3-inning game, the chances of anybody getting more than 1 at bat are pretty slim.
Yeah, that makes it tough. And I can't tell you how many times too, Tori, that we've heard stories of that last minute scenario where we didn't get our at bat or where we had somebody stalling, and to your point, if they had done these things early in the game, it might not have been an issue.
Right. Well, and we've talked about the whole stalling to win a game, and honestly, the way the rules are, if the rule says that the home team wins when the time runs out and you're the home team and you want to win the game,
right,
stalling's going to be part of it. I mean, I don't like it, I don't respect it, I don't have any use for it, but it's just going to be part of it. But the flip side of it is really simple. If we don't waste the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40% of game time that we waste, to your point, we don't have to worry about that last 40 seconds clicking off the clock because now we've played an extra inning or 2. And maybe the reason for the stalling has disappeared.
Sure.
Maybe the reason for that team to kill time has disappeared. Maybe the reason for your team to try to hustle it up and all of a sudden in that last inning, the opposite, the anti-stalling.
And we get to see the kids play.
Right. Well, and the anti-stalling thing is your team wants to get 1 more inning, so you have, hitters or you have a base runner purposely leave base early to get the 3rd out as quickly as possible so that you get 1 more chance to bat.
Okay, yeah.
All those different gamesmanship things that go on as part of the time limit, I think we could go a long way towards getting rid of them if we just stop wasting as much time as we can. Here's my challenge to you. I want you to find somebody you trust, a parent or somebody that you can count on to be responsible, and give them a stopwatch. Most stopwatches now you can start and stop without having to reset it. And I want you to give them the stopwatch, and every time play stops because of, or doesn't start because of the wasted time in the dugout, the wasted time with the cards, the wasted time with the catching gear, the wasted time with the cheers, the wasted time with the handshake, give us some feedback. Let us know. I'm going to do it at our next tournament because I'm really curious to see. And Stan brought this topic up today for us to talk about, and I'm going to be willing to bet, and we've got a really good team, really good, 12 and under team. And when I get done with it, I'm going to be shocked to see how much game time we're not taking advantage of,
being efficient
because of the stuff that happens in the course of a game. And it was kind of funny because I saw this the other day. We're getting close to the NFL draft, and they were talking about some stuff on one of the sports shows that I watch. Out of a 60-minute football game, there's really action for like 7 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
Because you got all the downtime in between, where the ball's
Yeah.
actually doing something, where the ball's just not sitting there while we're in the huddle and all that stuff. It's like
Somebody's running and
11 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
It was like a small fraction of the 3.5 hours you spend watching the football game. And it really kind of made me think about that while we were talking about this today, that everybody wants more action. Well, if we want more action in fast pitch, we can control it very, very easily. Let's look at all the things we do that are wasting this valuable game time and get more game time.
Well, and I think too, if we're used to hustling and being, on the go in practice, doing it in the game wouldn't be that much of an issue, right? Yeah.
Well, there was
Set the tone.
Yeah, there was a high school coach that I got to know a little bit in Oklahoma. I recruited a couple of his players, and he was the king of getting as many innings as possible. Now, the first half inning, his pitcher would throw 5 pitches. Every inning after that, his pitcher would throw 1 pitch, they would throw it down, and they would be there waiting to play defense after
Nice.
1 pitch.
Sweet.
And it really set the tone for them, being hey, we're ready to play ball team. We're here to take charge. We don't need to waste time. We don't need to dink around. When they got a strikeout, they threw it around the infield, but it was like 3 seconds, like snap to the third base and right around the infield to the pitcher.
Before the next batter.
Yeah, she's standing there waiting for that
Yeah.
next hitter to get into the batter's box with a pitch already called and ready to go to work. And it just set such a tone to when people played against Tuttle High School, they knew
That psychs me up even hearing
that
it,
they were
Tori.
playing
That's
the
good.
go get 'em, we're ready to rock and roll. You bring it, we're ready for it attitude. And it was just kind of a fun thing to see. And I think we could definitely use a little bit of that in the world of time limit travel ball. So, Don, anything else for episode number 84?
No, I think that's a good topic. And again, a lot of times we get pretty detailed about some of these topics, and that's another good one. That's great.
And it's one that applies to almost every one of
Everybody.
our coaches.
Yeah.
Okay, because we spend all that time practicing because we want the kids to play.
And it's time to go.
Let's play a little bit more.
No doubt.
All right, so if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, make sure you reach out to us at everythingfastpitch@gmail.com or fastpitchprep@gmail.com. Check out the fastpitchprep.com website. You can order your Square Cuts training discs there. There's an order button right on the website. It'll take you right through the process. And make sure you check out the blogs, the YouTube channel, all the information. Make sure you check out andersonbat.com. Order your bats there. EFP20 is the discount code. And please go to patreon.com/everythingfastpitch. So for Coach Don, our producer Stan Lewis, is Coach Tori in the Cherokee Batting Range Podcast Studio, saying thanks for listening to episode number 84.